Hello and welcome to Lewis and Clark's Day Historic Site. My name is Ben and I work here as a site interpreter. Our site celebrates Camp River du Bois, the winter encampment where Lewis and Clark and their soldiers spent December of 1803 into May of 1804, this entire winter, preparing for their journey. This was a daunting task. They didn't know exactly how long it was going to take to get there, what they would need along the way, or who they could count on. And so here at Camp River du Bois, they would spend those 5 months in camp preparing the materials and tools they would need, and more importantly, preparing and selecting the soldiers that they would rely on for a successful expedition. Now that is why on April 1st of 1804, the camp must have been very excited. All the soldiers would have been, really anxious, waiting to see if their name would be selected for the detachment that would go on this journey. When Meriwether Lewis and William Clark select their detachment, the people they're going to rely on for the rest of this trip, the soldiers would have been really honored to have been selected. Now, this was an exciting trip. Adventure is a driving factor for these soldiers in wanting to go. Remember, they have to be volunteers for this journey. This is going to be a treacherous, dangerous, life-threatening journey that they don't know that everyone is going to come back from. Just the fact that it is an expedition into unknown territory comes with a real threat to life. Lewis and Clark know this idea very well, and they only bring volunteers for this expedition, with one exception. So each soldier that makes the cut will be sworn in on April 1st of 1804, pledging to make sure this expedition is a success at the risk of their life. Now, that made me wonder, why would you go on a trip like this? It's going to be incredibly hazardous. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like. You don't even know how you're going to be rewarded if you get back in one piece. And that big one, that adventure, that newness is no doubt part of it. The chance to explore places that you've never heard of or seen, be the first American to see some of these really famous sites that we think of now in the American West. That is easily part of what's driving them. You have to remember, some of these soldiers are in frontier forts where they're often bored out of their minds with just very simple tasks. There's not a lot of excitement at those forts. This expedition offers a way to serve in the army still while really learning some new exciting things. So there is this newness, this sense of adventure driving a lot of the soldiers. But I think there's a lot of other things driving them as well. And I've boiled them down into a few areas, and one that shows up in a lot of the notes and journals and discussions with the soldiers is that of enlightened service. Now, this is the time of the Enlightenment. These soldiers would have grown up when the Republic of the United States is new. So a lot of these soldiers are excited to serve this new country, this new experiment. And so there's this driving sense of service. And there's also this driving sense of searching for knowledge and filling in the blanks of the unknown. It's a very Enlightenment idea that you would find more information that all people could use. So for some of them, including I think in large part the captains, there was this driving sense of serving one's country and serving mankind as a whole by gathering information on this journey. I think close to that is the idea that a lot of these soldiers are going to raise their own status or to receive some sort of honor. If you can go on this expedition and come back, you'll be kind of famous and celebrated when you get back. There will be some bragging rights that you were one of the people selected. Alexander Willard, many years later in life, would brag that he beat out over 100 soldiers because of his skills and athletic abilities to go on this journey. So there's a sense of bragging rights. You have to remember, a lot of the soldiers signing up for this journey are part of this Southern honor culture. So this would be a way of bringing some honor to you and your family. But if we get down to it, some of the reasons the soldiers are going are a little more practical, a little more business-oriented. And I would clump these all together as kind of business advantages. Private Whitehouse wrote that he was interested in the science of the expedition, but he also says he was really interested in the fur trade. He, like some of the other soldiers, are really excited to travel up the Missouri because they're getting paid by the Army to travel up the Missouri River to meet with Native American nations, make contacts with other fur trappers, and maybe find some of the most fertile trapping areas in the American West. Now, this is at a time when Europe and the United States have this fur economy really driving a lot of money into North America. And so some of these soldiers are hoping to get that inside track, where to go, who to talk to, where they can get really great furs and make some money. John Colter doesn't even finish the entire return journey with the Lewis and Clark expedition. He is the only person that got permission to leave and join up with some fur trappers. So some of these soldiers really are looking at this as a chance for adventure and to pursue their own business ideas. I think there are some other ones that don't apply to everyone on the journey, but probably did for a few of them. Joseph and Reuben Field were two brothers that went on this journey. Both of them were capable and no doubt would have been selected on their own, but the fact that they got to travel together, I'm sure, was one of the reasons that they wanted to go on the journey, to experience all these new things with their sibling. In the same way, we've got some cousins traveling on the trip. Charles Floyd and Nathaniel Pryor are cousins, and so they probably wanted to make sure that they both got through okay as well. I think the most specific form of why someone would go on this journey is the case of York. He's a non-volunteer. Being enslaved to Captain Clark, he didn't get a say if he got to go on this journey or not. He may have been excited. He may have wanted to go, but that decision ultimately fell to Captain Clark. So there's all these driving factors, and in York's case, his motivation was that he didn't really have a choice at all. He had to go. If we look at all these motivations, I don't think any one person falls into just one of these categories. These soldiers had a bunch of different reasons for why they wanted to go, even though they understood the risks of what they were about to encounter. John Ordway, in his letter back to his family before they leave on the expedition, will give instructions to his family on how they can receive his pay and his personal effects upon the return of the expedition if he doesn't make it. These soldiers were well aware of the risks, and yet they were still so motivated to go on this journey. So April 1st in May of 1804 would have been a very exciting day of camp. The soldiers finally got to act on these motivations and knew that they would be traveling with the detachment. I want to thank you today for checking out our video. You can always find more of our videos on Facebook and YouTube, and you can always check out more about us at www.campdubois.com. Thanks for watching.